Listen to Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris say they believe felons should be able to vote while they are still in prison and before they paid their debt to society. Bernie Sanders says that includes the Boston Marathon bomber. Watch.
I do believe that even if they are in jail, they're paying their price to society, but that should not take away their inherent American right to participate in our democracy. We've got to expand that democracy, and I believe every single person does have the right to vote.
But people who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
Bernie Sanders specifically said, we didn't have the sound for you, but he did specifically say, yes, the Boston Marathon bomber should be able to vote. The Boston Marathon bomber is now on death row. He got a death sentence for killing 3 people and injuring 280. He planted a bomb on the pavement behind a group of children, killing an 8-year-old boy. Let's bring in conservative commentator and Boston Herald radio host Adriana Cohen. Critics are asking, are the Democrats trying to lose?
Yeah, absolutely, they're trying to lose. I mean, this is the most horrific thing I think I've heard. You know, the 4 victims who died that day, the marathon bombers, you know, basically they committed an act of war against the city of Boston. They killed 4 people, including a police officer, an MIT police officer in the aftermath. They lost their right to vote. So why on earth would any Democrat candidate want to be empowering terrorists and murderers and rapists and giving them the right to vote when these murderers have denied innocent American citizens their right to vote, including their lives and all of their rights? It just doesn't make any sense for Democrats to be wanting to empower the bad guy. I mean, they should be, respecting the victims. They should be showing compassion for the victims, not the bad guys. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know how this is going to be a winning issue for them come 2020.
What are you hearing outrage from people on this? What are you hearing?
Absolutely. I mean, this was one of the most tragic moments in history, not only for Boston, but, one of the worst terror attacks on U.S. soil. And I know so many people who were there that day on the marathon. They saw limbs flying. There was blood everywhere. I mean, this is something that will be forever stained in our memory. And the fact that Bernie Sanders is so insensitive towards that, and he wants to empower murderers who killed an 8-year-old boy and other innocent American citizens. And as you mentioned, Emac, over 280 people were injured, 16 were severely maimed. I mean, this is not who Democrats or any American should be empowering and basically, giving them rights that they took away from those that they murdered. I mean, I really just think this is a terrible issue that they're running on, and it's going to backfire on them spectacularly.
Did they just destroy their candidacies? Did they just turn blue state Massachusetts red?
They very well could have, because I can tell you, look, we have a Republican governor here in Massachusetts. There is over 1 million Republican voters. There's a lot of unenrolled here. And that terror attack, that Boston Marathon attack, brought our entire city together. We became we all were Americans that day. It wasn't about party, and this is not going to be a winning issue with any Bostonian, I can tell you that.
Adriana Cohen, final point, final word on this.
Yeah. I just think that this is definitely a losing issue for them, and they should show compassion for the victims, not the terrorists.
Adriana Cohen, come back soon. Love having you on. Coming up, the Pentagon now reviewing the case of the 2 U.S. soldiers detained by